So good evening, everyone. It's so good to see you all. Hi, I'm Kim Blosser. I'm president at Lord Fairfax, and welcome to our second virtual. We had one last year, but virtual Veterans Day celebration. I want to first start off by thanking Chris Lambert, who has for many years put together a wonderful Veterans Day celebration for us previous to the pandemic. That was in person, but he has done a phenomenal job these last 2 years putting together a virtual celebration for us. So thank you so much, Chris, for doing that. It's such an important day, and we're so grateful to be able to do it. You know, I've every year at this time, you start thinking about our veterans even more. And all of us, of course, as we've gone through this pandemic now for, whatever it's been, 19 months, a lot of people think that we've had sacrifices, by having to wear these masks and having to miss time with families. And it always reminds me at Veterans Day that this is nothing compared to the sacrifice that our veterans have given and give all the time. And their families, veterans don't see their families many times for years at a time. And so the little things we've had to do to keep one another safe during this pandemic, I think, does not compare at all to what has been asked of our veterans over the years. And so we thank you. Certainly, we are grateful to be here to thank you for your service, to honor all of you. And so I always look forward to hearing stories, hearing your all's perspective, and I'm looking forward to that this evening. And so I will turn it over to Caroline, who's going to get our program started. But welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, President Blosser. It is always such an honor to be part of the Veterans Day event, and hearing from our veterans is so inspiring, and the bravery and courage that you have shown serving our country. So I just want to give you some housekeeping and logistical things so that you know how it will go this evening. We have 4 wonderful guest speakers who will share their experiences with you afterwards. I'll go ahead and give a little bit of time if you have questions for those speakers. And then at the end, if you have anything that you want to say about your experience as a family member or a veteran, or just as your experience, I'll open the floor for that. So our first veteran is Brian Higgins, who is a police sergeant at our Faulkier campus at LFCC.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me. I guess I'll start with the beginning of the career. So I'd like to, first of all, thank all the veterans and let our future veterans. My son, he just returned home from Iraq, got promoted to gunnery sergeant. He's in the Marine Corps. I'll chip off the old block, I guess. But anyway, happy Veterans Day to everybody and to all my fellow veterans. So my career started back in 1985. I went to boot camp. Was at Fort Benning, Georgia, Sand Hill. From there, I went to infantry school. I went to airborne school, air assault, and then I went to ranger school. Progressed quite quickly. I don't know if it was just the times or if they were just desperate for personnel. My first deployment was Desert Storm, 1991. We were over there. It was the 100-hour war in Kuwait. It happened fast and furious, and it was a quick victory if anyone was alive or remembers that. My second deployment was in Mogadishu, Afghanistan in 1993 on October 3rd. My third deployment was 1997. I was in Bosnia, in Slavansky Brod. We served over the bridge over the Sava River. It was right after the Cold War. The Serbians, their former military, former Yugoslavians, became the police, and they were basically trying to do the same thing that Hitler did in World War II and try to create the perfect scenario for Bosnia. And they were mass killing Croatians. There was mass graves, families children, wives. So they sent troops over to mediate on that. My next deployment was in 2004, which was in Ghazni, Afghanistan. I did some time down at coast through the cave searching for Al Qaeda operatives. On November 20th, which is coming up here real quick, it'll be an anniversary of 2004. I was hit with an IED, destroyed my left knee. Had 2 surgeries on it. Had got an artificial big toe, suffered a traumatic brain injury, and lost a little bit of hearing. I recovered from that quite quickly, actually. I returned back to Afghanistan to finish my tour on February 14th of 05. So a few short months, and finished out my tour with the rest of my troops and came home successfully with them. My last deployment, just before I retired, was in Iraq. It was, I was over in Basra and then Balad. And we just ran mission after mission, trying to gather intel. We were training the IPs, which is the Iraqi police forces. So we were pretty much teaching them how to operate and defend and protect themselves against the Al Qaeda. I spent 21 years in the military, and I had 5 deployments. I'm a Bronze Star recipient, like my fellow counterpart, Butch Austin. We've seen a lot of stuff. We lived through a lot of things. We've seen things that most people probably couldn't understand. We're happy to be home. We're proud to be served. And I now serve you, the Lord Fairfax Community College Police Department, as your sergeant. I thank y'all for your time and efforts and for listening to me, and God bless.
Thank you so much for your service, Sergeant Higgins, and thank you for serving as a police officer as well. We feel much safer with you with us. Does anybody have any questions for Brian Higgins? All right. Well, now I'm going to introduce a student at Lord Fairfax Community College, Sierra Miller. Thank you so much for joining us, Sierra.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm probably one of the youngest ones, maybe, to speak here. I'm 34. I joined the Marine Corps in 2005. I went to boot camp in Parris Island. I was a field radio operator, which back then it was called DB-14, and now they call it 0623. And pretty much my job was to establish communications at LZs. I was setting up comm camp tents. I repaired antennas. If your radio broke, I fixed it. My first time over was 2006, and I went to Afghanistan. And as a female back then, we didn't see much because we were, women weren't allowed to be in the infantry back when I was in there. Now it's a big shift, and now women can join the infantry, which I'm kind of jealous because I wanted to be in the infantry. You did see a lot of action, though, and a lot of things that, people wouldn't understand. It's just, it was a very different experience being a female, really in a male-dominated what's the word? Military. It's very different. But I left as a sergeant, and then I went back to Parris Island and became a drill instructor and actually trained future Marines to go overseas and fight for our country. And I'm glad to be home. I have a small family now, and life's been good. I'm glad to be home, and I thank my fellow veterans and my future veterans, and My brother is also part of the military. He's not in the Marine Corps though, but he's getting ready for his first deployment over to the Horn of Africa right after Thanksgiving. So, you know, a lot of thoughts and prayers are going with him over there. And that's pretty much all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Sierra. And it is so interesting. You're right. I think you might, since I've been here, be the first woman we've highlighted as a guest. So interesting experience and a different experience than others. It is a very male dominated profession. So glad to see you here. And thank you for sharing your story. Does anyone have any questions for Sierra? Wonderful. Well, I will introduce our next speaker, who is a distinguished alumni, Joby Wood. Joby, thank you.
Well, hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Cool. I want to say thank you for the invitation once again. It's very much a pleasure for me to do this. I'm very adamant about my military career, about my brethren, male and female, and the families that have sacrificed as much as they have with the hardships they have to go through with the men and women that serve. A little about me: Army veteran, go Army. 82nd Airborne Division primarily. 81 to 93. I was attached to SFOD for my last 18 months, which is Special Forces Operations Group Delta, which is probably one of the reasons I got out of the military. It was a different world and probably situations that you'll never, ever hear about. Combat veteran, Grenada, Panama, Middle East. Very proud of it. I wouldn't have missed a day of it in my younger life. It's been, this always happens to me. Very proud moments in my life, and I have friends that I will have for the rest of my life, thick or thin, and people that I've met along the way, like Brian, outstanding person, Professor Austin, I love him to death, one of the greatest men I've ever met. I will say that for anyone planning on joining the military as a career, or even just to get your feet wet, it's an opportunity that I believe everyone should try. It's not for everyone, don't get me wrong, but there's so many things you can do in the military today that you can do to help our country. Personally, I think our country is in a little bit of a mess right now. But as long as we stick together and work together and lean on people where we need to, I think we can make the world a better place. I'm also very proud of the way the country has reacted to the veterans we have today. It's not like it was back when my father was in the Marine Corps, coming back from Vietnam. I think we have a lot more appreciation for our veterans today, which is very heartfelt for me. It's a lot easier on the families. But we also have a long way to go. There's still a high number of homeless veterans out there that should not, it shouldn't be happening. We need to find a way to take care of those that have taken care of us, and still taking care of us. I can't explain enough how hard it is to go into combat. the mental strain that will put on you. And just one tour is hard. But I have friends that have been over, well, Sergeant Major, a friend of mine who's a Sergeant Major now, has had 9 tours. And I just can't imagine what he's going through inside or what his family is going to go through. And that's an extreme, but I don't believe they allowed anybody to go over to Vietnam more than 3 times without making sure they didn't go back into combat. 5, 6 times is not uncommon. Anyway, I'm very grateful to be able to talk to y'all and express my gratitude. And I wouldn't have passed going to the military up for nothing. It's I still hang an 82nd Airborne Division flag in my front yard with an American flag, and I've got memorabilia all through the house. I talk to my old buddies on a regular basis. And we get together every once in a while, and we probably do a little too much of certain things and telling a lot of old stories, but it's 82nd was a brotherhood, and SFOD is a brotherhood. And Brian, Professor Austin, and I'm sorry, Sierra, I don't have any crayons for you, but you know, that's a Marine joke, just saying. But if anybody has any questions, I'll be free to answer them. Otherwise, thank you very much for your time. I love coming here. I could have been a professional student, just so you know. I really loved Lord Fairfax and exercising my mind. So, all right, well, thank you very much, folks. I do appreciate it. All the way.
So I do have one question. Just, you mentioned that it's more common for more deployments perhaps now than it was years ago. Is there,
Yes.
do we have less volunteers going in the people enlisting, or why do you think you're seeing more multiple deployments?
I really don't have an answer for that. I would think that you would send people over there that are experienced. The likelihood of returning home doesn't seem all that good to me. The more times you're there, but the more experience you have, if you're going in with seasoned troops, I believe that you may have a better chance of staying alive. I know that the 82nd Airborne Division's been there a lot. 101st has been there a lot. There's a lot of other infantry units that have been there a lot. And the Marines have spent a lot of time over there. I wish I had an answer for that. Brian might have some better feedback on that. I don't know.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, he was in later than I, but I would think that you would send a seasoned troop over. Brian, you trying to say something?
So there we go. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the reason behind it, President Blosser, is because we're in so many different places, the missions are different. So you're not sending the troops back to the same area of operation on the same mission. So the military seems to think that that it's a break. So if you're doing combat operations in Afghanistan, then your next tour would be in Iraq, and you may be training police officers or training troops that's getting ready to go to Afghanistan. So I think that's the reason behind why there's so many deployments. It's not in the same area of operations, and it's not the same mission as different it was in Vietnam.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
But I'm hearing you all say that still having all these deployments compounds, even though they may be different.
Yeah, and it's mostly the strain of you see a lot, you experience a lot. Like Job said, there's a brotherhood there. He served in Vietnam. We've been in Iraq, we've been in Afghanistan, but there will always be a mutual respect and an understanding because of the brethren, because we've been in combat. I think the major strain is just being away from home. I think that's the major part, because there's troops that deploy and they're in a combat zone but may have never seen combat. They're more of making the operations happen. They're the force that's behind the scene, that provides the vehicles, provides the fuel, provides the food, and that kind of thing. So it's just a different era and a different time, as to where in Vietnam they dropped you right into the hot zone and you were in combat from day one until you left.
Thank you both.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes.
Does anybody have any other questions? Well, I am going to pause for a moment for a brief commercial break, where I'm going to tell you where you saw Joby was our Faulkier Veterans Center, which is beautiful. It is a beautiful center. And we are one of only a handful of military-friendly community colleges in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So we're very proud of that. And Sharon Painter, one of our veteran advisors, is on here today. So thank you, Sharon. So she is in the office right next door to the Veterans Center where you just saw, and is happy to help anyone who is a veteran family member. They can refer them to us, and we'll find them, Sharon or Jean Marie, to make sure that they get all of the good advice that our veterans get here at LFCC. We really take pride in our veteran students and the work that they do, and we know and have had many discussions around the struggles of reintegrating into kind of daily life once you come back from deployment. And those are a lot of our students that have come directly back from deployment within a year or two. So we see many of those students, and we're proud of that. So we definitely encourage you to refer your friends and family if they are interested in LFCC. So our final speaker is one of everyone's favorite professors, well-loved, and is such an honor to have at our veterans events. Yes, exactly. He's awesome. Professor Butch Austin is not only a favorite of our students, he's a favorite of his colleagues. He is just beloved at LFCC, and hearing his story is always touching. So Butch, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and always inviting your students to join us too. We love having your students with us as well.
Well, thank you for your kind words there. I think I have a few students that may disagree with you on that, but that's okay. I just want to say, first of all, I'm just extremely humbled and honored to be with this group that's spoken tonight. Joby is one of my all-time favorite students, and now I truly consider him a friend. And Brian is just one of my favorite people to work with and to trade stories with, and to just have so much in common with. And Sierra, I knew she was a Marine, but now I understand why when I walked in the classroom, she had people doing push-ups. I didn't realize she was a drill instructor. Okay. So anyway, thank you guys for what you guys have said and done. And I know my students get tired of hearing me talk. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play a couple of different little presentations where you will hear me talk some in the presentation, but mostly I want to share. I did a tour in Afghanistan and a tour in Iraq, and I want to share a presentation from my tour in Afghanistan, and we'll see how the time is. And if I know the time's getting a little bit late and I don't want to make it too long, if possible, there may be a couple of little videos that I want to honor a couple of people with, but if not, I can do that at a different time. So I'm going to go ahead and share a presentation with you.
want to wish all of you a happy Veterans Day. I come from a long line of veterans, starting with my great-grandfathers on both sides of my family fighting in the Civil War. My grandfather on my father's side actually fought in World War I. My uncle, my dad's oldest brother, fought in World War II. And my dad fought in both Korea and in Vietnam. Most people don't realize, but only about 9% of the population has served in the military. And only about 4.5% have actually served in combat, but 100% get the benefits of our liberty and freedoms due to those who served.
Yep, I'm going.
Actually, this may be the prettiest place I've seen in Afghanistan. I don't know if the film will show it as pretty as it is, but very green because it's near a river. At least down here it's green, and it's rocky and mountainous, of course.
Probably got. I haven't checked it. Well, I know. Hi. Wave. Hello. Yeah, wave. Think a couple minutes.
Yeah, I took a little spill trying to get to the helicopter after found out we need to get on fast because there was enemy fire. Anyway, not a big deal. But if you don't mind me showing you the next few slides of some of the projects we did, including building a trade school where we tried to teach some local Afghans some trades that they can make a living with.
If you look at the lady on the left of the picture, she was actually an Afghan-American nurse who came to help us teach. And even though we don't have a picture of it, we started a female nursing school there with her help. So.
We built several things like schools, clinics, and wells so they could have clean water, several different things. And this is actually a school we had built that we were dedicating to never really knew who the enemy was, and each town was different. Some towns have even the local police who were related to the Taliban, and they may treat you good one time and be your enemies the next time that you're there. There's a crowded street, and we always had to be careful in crowds. And I pulled security for one of our brigade commanders.
One of the best items we did was give out some humanitarian supplies, and one of the biggest hits was shoes. And Lord Fairfax actually sent us several boxes of shoes, so that really went over really well. These are actually people guarding one of the schools because the Taliban had threatened girls going to school. So we had to make sure we kept guards out for them. I lived on this compound right here. This was a group of people called the Coochie people. They were migratory people who would migrate kind of with the seasons, and they didn't have any stable places. They had tents and they would move from place to place. And a lot of times they would be attacked by locals when they moved through their areas. So we tried to help them out some. This was a typical village area for Afghan. Here we're actually handing out wheat seed to try to encourage them to grow wheat and not poppy, because heroin trade's real big in that area. Or I should say opioid trade. And we had several interpreters, and there's a big elephant in the room that I want to say. We did a big disservice to a lot of our interpreters who helped us over there that we couldn't have done our job without.
This is where I'd like to end this part of the presentation with this monument that sums up all veteran service. All gave some and some gave all. I hope you'll always appreciate the sacrifices that veterans have made for our country.
And what I would like to do right now, and let's see, what I'd like to do real quick is share a video of a friend of mine who did give the ultimate sacrifice over there. So you could spend about 4 more minutes, then I would appreciate that. Thank you for letting me share that. That means a lot to me. And I will end there.
Thank you so much, Professor Austin. It really truly demonstrates the sacrifice that the military makes for us every day and truly puts their lives on the line. So we really appreciate your service and our condolences for your loss. Would anyone like to share their experience as a family member or a member of the military before we close this evening? All right. Well, every Veterans Day, I listen to our veteran students and colleagues, and I'm so in awe of their courage, tenacity, perseverance, and camaraderie. Thank you so much for being with us. It is such an honor to be in your presence and hear your stories. And thank you so much for taking the time to share and to reveal your personal selves to all of us. Also, a big thanks to your spouses, your parents, your siblings, and children who have all sacrificed pieces of you while you have served our nation. It is no small ask for your families and a tall ask of you. So thank you for protecting our right to be here tonight, for our right to educate and not be interfered with. So for our rights to have LFCC and the right of education. Thank you for giving our students that opportunity. We do not take it for granted. And thank you so much for keeping us safe. We don't take our freedom lightly, and we owe it to your dedication and service. Thank you so much, and happy Veterans Day.